Hello, everyone, and welcome to this lovely spring episode of Chatting with the Lightkeeper. I'm Edward, and I hope that wherever you are, as we're in this wonderful spring season, that as we approach the spring holidays, that everything is fantastic for you. If you celebrate Easter, happy Easter. If you're celebrating Passover, I hope that you have a wonderful Passover season. I'm not sure season was the right word, but and then for the rest of us, we've now entered the American national pastime season of baseball. So I am looking forward to getting some warmth and getting my butt to Comerica and Wrigley Field this summer and enjoying a little amber soda, hot dogs, and some baseball. And in the meantime, I was kind of thinking, as I thought about what to chat about in this episode, of all the things that I've kind of learned along the way. And the thing about learning is, one of the things I love about this lifestyle is you're never done learning. There's always something new. There's a new way to do something that you may consider perhaps like an old trick. But there's always things to learn. Everything is evolving, changing, and growing, and I love that about it. But I thought I would just kind of chat about some of the things that perhaps, as I'm sure there's an old country and western song somewhere out there about, if I knew now what I didn't know then, or something like that, somehow going like that. But just things that perhaps it would have been good to know when I first started my journey into all this amazing, wonderful things that make up the lifestyle. And these aren't really, I don't want them to be things like, how to vet a prospective partner or red flags to look for in someone, but just little things that the lifestyle journey has brought to me, and hopefully if you are exploring all of this, that you can perhaps learn from some of the things that I've experienced along the way. The first thing had I known when I started, would have been helpful file, is that acceptance may not be easy. And I think probably most of you, when you hear me say that, you're thinking along the lines of acceptance of others, like coming out and sharing to a close friend that this whole kinky world that they probably will not understand, or they may even judge you negatively for it. I'm not talking about, coming out and sharing with others. How and if anyone does that is, in my opinion, their business. But the challenge of acceptance for me was accepting that the DS lifestyle was something that I needed to have in a partner. It wasn't something that was optional, or that, I would hopefully find in someone. And I learned that I needed to recognize and accept that DS was part of me. It was, obviously it doesn't define me. It doesn't, make up the majority of who I am by any means. But I had to learn to accept that was a piece of me, and in a partner, I had to accept that I needed to have it be something that they felt the same way. It was something that was not, not an option for them. It was something that they actually also needed. So the acceptance piece was really an important bit of self-learning that I had to go through. And kind of building on saying that, that in a partner they needed to also have the DS component that meshed with mine. I will admit Now, perhaps there are some out there who will threaten to take away my Dom card for this, but I'm a romantic. I still believe in love. I still believe that love, dedication, and hard work, coupled with you know, honest communication, can really conquer a lot of mountains that come up in a partnership. But finding a relationship, or in this case relationships, because I've had a few now in the lifestyle over the years. It's not as easy as I thought it would be when I finally accepted DS was something that I needed to have. All those romantic notions, I thought that, it would just be easy to find someone special. And that's just, it's not the case. It is a challenge to find amazing partner, potential people. It's easy to find people for casual play, fling, all that stuff. I mean, that's easy to find, but finding that deeper, soulful connection was definitely not as easy as I thought it was going to be when I first started. I think that's probably because when we, as people, decide that we need to have DS in a partner, we're automatically shrinking the pool of available people that might, be a fit for us. So when we shrink the proverbial dating pool, it gets harder to find. And so going in, I thought that, romance would be easy. And it turns out that it's definitely not. Another thing that I wish someone had told me when I had started all of this. When I started, I was, and I still am, I can be very trusting with people. But I've learned that it's always important to keep in mind, not really in mind, but ask yourself as you're getting to know somebody, whether it's as a friend, acquaintance, or maybe even a potential, romantic connection, is just kind of keep in the back of your mind, what do they want from me? There are amazing people in DS, and there are also some not so amazing people. So it's just important to kind of keep the question of what do they really want from me in the back of your mind, and just as you get to know them, occasionally fall back to that question and re-examine it. Perhaps you'll find that they truly just want to be your friend. Maybe you'll discover that they like you. Or maybe you'll discover that they're one of those bad actors, and it might be best to, step away. So, kind of always keep in mind what might be motivating someone who is trying to get to know you. The other area, which is something that I see a lot online, is people struggle to balance life and the lifestyle. We don't live in a perfect world. We live in a very imperfect place, and the regular challenges of life are often huge challenges. So it's very important that, especially when you're in a relationship, building a relationship, is to be able to balance the DS component with all the things that the vanilla world is, throwing your way. The vanilla world just never stops hitting us with new challenges. For every mountain we climb, it seems there's a higher one, just on the other side. So it's very important to work to find a way to balance the DS component with the real life component that is going to be there. And at this point, I think now would probably be a good time for me to take a moment, get a plug in for my sponsor here, and we'll pick it up and be consistent about it when we get back from the break. All right, welcome back, and thank you for sticking with me through the little sponsorship break. Before the break, we were talking about balancing regular vanilla life with the lifestyle, and something that I have found can be a challenge, and I think everyone will go through this, and it goes hand in hand with that balancing act. Is staying consistent. There are times as a dominant where it can be very easy to let perhaps a little thing kind of slide, and then a little bit of that sliding part in the DS relationship slides, and that kind of goes, and it's sort of like the beginning of an avalanche. Once the avalanche starts downhill, it is pretty much impossible to stop until it decides to stop for itself. So it's important to stay consistent, and it doesn't matter what side of the slash that you're on with the DS component in your relationship. Even with the pressures, that balancing act of regular vanilla life in the lifestyle component that is also ongoing. So I think it's important that dominants always look to be consistent with their leadership in their relationship, and submissives also need to work, and it is work, and it's work for both sides of the slash. For a submissive, they need to keep their work consistent in their dedication to their dominant. So it's work on both sides to keep the consistency there, to keep an avalanche from happening in the DS side of your relationship, because I think even though I'm a skier, so avalanche is kind of a personal thing in a way for me. Avalanches can be beautiful things, but most often than not, they do leave a path of destruction. And if an avalanche happens in a relationship, they can be something that, once it's all cleared, can make things beautiful. Or an avalanche that comes can leave things pretty much destroyed. So it's important to be consistent and to prevent an avalanche from happening within your relationship. Earlier, we were talking about trust and asking what somebody wants from you. And when I first got involved in DS, I was in my 20s, and I believe I said it then, but I guess in a way it bears repeating. I was very, very trusting. And in fact, I would even put the label of naive on myself. If somebody said they were X, then I believed it. If they said they were Y, I believed them. I didn't not question or not have trust, but I immediately just, here you go. Here's the plate of trust. You have it. But the lesson that I've learned, really in life and DS life, have taught me that it takes time to build trust with someone. It is wonderful. I am still a trusting person. But I do take time to build trust with people, no matter their relationship with me, whether it's in the vanilla world or within the lifestyle. It's still building trust. It's still a process. So I strongly recommend that people take their time and invest in building trust with someone, And it's okay to be trusting. Trust is something where if you want to be trusted, you have to extend your own trust to somebody. But just make sure to take your time and build your trust wisely. Kind of a saying that I have now, that I am much more experienced in the world, is that I don't have trust issues. I truly don't believe I do have trust issues, but I do have issues where I've seen this crapola before and I'm not dealing with it again. So that's one of the things that I have learned, is that it truly takes time and effort to build trust. And if I want to build trust with somebody, I also have to extend trust to them. But it is important to take the time to invest to build that trust. Another thing that when I first came to the lifestyle, I had this belief that there were no bad submissives, just bad dominants. The submissive who is, I guess I'll say, behaving badly, it's because that the submissive has had nothing but bad experiences or bad dominance. It's not, unfortunately, that's not how it works. There are bad actors that are dominants, there are bad actors that are submissives, and there are bad actors that are switches, primal, whatever label fits you. There are great people and there are not so good people out there, and it's important to recognize that that people that don't have good intentions exist in all walks of life, in the lifestyle, outside of the lifestyle, and in the lifestyle. They can take any role that it suits them to take, or that they feel fits them. Bad actors, and even though the majority of the things you'll see about bad actors are dominant, and it's probably because there are more people who take the dominant role or choose to identify that way that have bad intentions or cruel intentions of people. But no matter where you are, where you reside on the proverbial slash, know that not so good people are out there, and they are in every role that you can think of or identify with. There are great people and there are some not so great people. Another thing that I will admit that this was kind of a surprise. In my 20s, the world was very black and white. I guess you're going to now have to excuse the bad lifestyle joke. There were no 50 Shades of Gray in my life when I came to the lifestyle. It was either right or wrong, good or bad. There was a very, very strict dividing line in my inexperienced mind at that point. But as I've grown as a person and in the lifestyle, I've learned that things change, people change. We all are going to grow and change. And things that when I was first learning about the lifestyle, that I would be like, no way, no how, that's just ew, or I don't understand how somebody could want to do that, or I just couldn't understand why somebody would be into that just I've learned that as we grow and evolve, things that might be yucks for us may never become yums, but my own evolution, I've learned that there are yums out there that are not for me, but just because it's a yuck for me doesn't mean it couldn't be a yum for another person. And also in my experience as I've grown, things that I had no interest in trying or exploring, the more I grew and in that growth understood perhaps the reasons why, suddenly things that I was like, no, I could never see myself wanting to explore that, have become things where it's like, perhaps with the right partner, that is something that could be explored. So your desires, soft limits, hard limits, and things that just, perhaps your initial response creeped you out, might become things that you see differently as you grow and start to understand more and more about the lifestyle. So I think it's important to understand that as I grew in the lifestyle, I grew to be much more more understanding of things. I still firmly hold some things that I still see as wrongs, or things that if I was elected king for a day, that I would eliminate from the lifestyle. But unfortunately, I am not descended from royalty, so there is going to be no King Edward. If there is, it's not going to be this Edward. So I have learned to accept some of the things that when I originally came to the lifestyle, I just couldn't understand and struggled with. And so you'll grow, your kinks will kind of diversify, perhaps become deeper, and if they don't, they will at least become more accepting. So that is something that was kind of a little bit of a surprise to me, especially some of the things that I originally thought were completely ew, and now I'm like, oh, well, anyway. Another thing, and a part of this I think comes out of me being a young 20-something, and this is not meant to knock anybody who's in their 20s, because there are people out there in their 20s who are far more mature than I am and have their heads screwed on better than I do. I know this, and I'm not afraid to admit it. But one of the things that I know I was guilty of, and I do still see it in others, especially people who are newer to the lifestyle, is that it's hard to perhaps admit what you don't know, especially with the availability of Google. Siri, just, hey, Google, what does this mean? And you get that little 3-sentence blurb back, and oh, okay, I got it. It's much better for me, I believe, to admit I don't know about this, especially when you're getting to know somebody, especially a prospective partner. It's so much better to say, oh, this is new to me. Well, can you tell me about it? Or, I have never done that before, but I would be open to learning about it with you, rather than kind of agreeing that sounds fun, not quite sure what you agreed to sounding fun, and then, going to Google and exploring it that way. I think it's better to just admit where we are, what we don't know, and go forward and learn about it with that open mind, rather than trying to fake it until we make it. And then another thing kind of along those same lines is, in the lifestyle, there are so much written, and there are so many how-to guides. You see it all the time in blogs, like, here's a step-by-step guide to be a great dominant, or follow these 15 steps to be a super submissive. And there can be nuggets of wisdom in those step-by-step guides, but the one thing that I find is missing from a lot of the educational resources that are out there, especially for new people, is the fact that there isn't a one-size-fits-all. There's no, picking on Google again, there's no Google map for how to be a dominant or a submissive or a switch. There's no way to get from curious about the lifestyle to dominant town or submissiveville. what everyone has to do is find what works for them. I have always kind of joked that for my style of dominance, I've borrowed some from over there, and I have borrowed a little bit from over here, and I've combined it all with my own ideas as well, and put together my own viewpoint, my own thoughts, and what and how I see the role of dominant is maybe very similar to how some of you view it, but it's going to be different than everybody else, because what works for me, and I don't expect it to work for anybody else. There's no true way, there's no right way. It's just taking nuggets and bits from things you see over there that you think could work for you, bringing them in, trying them out, seeing if they do, putting your own ideas together with that. There isn't a one size fits all, so it's all about making the lifestyle yours, and learning that what works for you is great, that you don't have to be what somebody else says you have to be dominant, or you don't have to be what this other group of people says a submissive should be. Just the importance of being an individual in customizing not only your car insurance, as the ads say here in the States, but customizing the lifestyle to fit you and your partner or partners. Now, another thing that I have seen over and over through the years, and it still happens, is as you're around the lifestyle, you'll meet people. You'll even connect with them. Consider them a friend. Even if you are involved in in-person functions, and you go to classes in person, or groups that get together for coffee, or any type of thing, whether it's in person or just online, you'll make some great connections, and boy, you're really getting to know somebody, and then all of a sudden, poof, they're just gone. Even if you communicate with them outside of the lifestyle events, or you text with them, you chat with them, maybe online, even FaceTime with them, people come to this lifestyle, and for whatever reason, it happens. Something happens, and other people will get kind of freaked out. Maybe they had a bad experience, a crazy date, or whatever has happened. Something has triggered kind of a freak out for them, and they just completely drop the lifestyle and the people they've connected with in the lifestyle. They just, kind of cut them off, drop them, and just go on with their life. Sometimes these people, just disappear completely. You never see or hear from them again. Other times, once they process the whatever it was, or the things that caused them to feel that they had to step away from the lifestyle, once they process it and work through, they'll reemerge, and you'll even see people, and I've been around long enough to see people leave, reemerge, It's kind of like a game of ping pong. You'll see them ping in, pong out, bing, 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 back and forth, back and forth. So you'll meet some great people that'll be there one day, and then, they're like a poof, they're gone, and, sometimes we hope that they return, and sometimes, we just hope that if they don't return, that they find or have found whatever it is that they needed. But people will come into your life, and then they will just disappear. It's not necessarily a happy thought, but it is it's a very real thing that happens. Another thing about the lifestyle, and I apologize, I think I've said another thing far too many times. This is one of the best things, in my opinion, about the lifestyle, is that the community itself, whether you're online, in person, a combination of those, it's an amazing and accepting place. It's a great place where you can just be yourself. Yes, there are some Joe and Judy judgments out there that, people that can try and make you feel less than for being yourself. But all in all, it's a very accepting place. Even if your yum is somebody else's yuck, it's still a very, very accepting and rewarding place. A good example of this is unfortunately it's mental health issues. If you're around the lifestyle, you'll see, especially like blog posts and just people will be very, very much more open about their mental health in the lifestyle than the people that you know strictly in the vanilla world typically. Of course, there are exceptions to that rule both ways, but it's a very much more open and accepting place. Another area that stands out where you see this is the acceptance of poly relationships. Poly relationships are something that really is not accepted in the vanilla world, but here in the lifestyle, if that's what works for you, that's fantastic. Poly is accepted. Their relationships are embraced. You love who you love, and that's great. In fact, you'll if you're newer, you'll encounter people who are poly, who are perhaps not really into DS. DS just isn't their jam, but they affiliate and enjoy the lifestyle simply because it's a accepting place where they can just be themselves and express their relationships as how they work, and it's accepted, which is not something that is typically found in the vanilla world. So the community is just wonderfully accepting. And right along with that, I have made and met some of the most amazing people in my life that I never would have met had I not been involved in the lifestyle. So the lifestyle just presents an opportunity to meet some amazing people. So that is truly one of the great things about the lifestyle. Finally, I think that this bodes true for everyone who explores the lifestyle, whether you decide it's for you, whether you are somebody who's been involved in the lifestyle for many years, or you're just really, kind of a newbie to the whole lifestyle, is the journey in the lifestyle will make you a better person. It keeps your mind open, introduces you to people who see things differently than you do. It's an awesome way for self-growth. So I think that the lifestyle will make everyone who explores it and comes to it with an open mind and open heart, whether they stay or not, it makes everyone a better individual. So on that note, I think I covered 14 different little things. So hopefully didn't bore you with the journey through if I knew now these things or the things I know now, I wish I had known when I started, or however one of those country and western songs you can perhaps pull out your guitar or mandolin or violin and write your own. But just the little things that I found kind of wonderful about my journey through the lifestyle that I wanted to share. And if you're newer or even a veteran, I hope there was a little nugget there that will help you on your journey. So once again, have a happy Easter, an amazing Passover, and I look forward to chatting with you again soon.